This is the Business Storytelling Show, a top global marketing podcast listened to in more than 100 countries, live streamed on social media, and broadcast on DBTV. Christoph Trapp chats with industry leaders to help your company tell better business stories. Here's today's episode.
Episode 625, my friends, and we're actually taking a break from live streaming just a little bit because yours truly is having pretty extensive surgery. So no live streaming for a few weeks, but of course you can always catch up on the podcast episodes wherever you listen to podcast episodes, and check out christophtrapp.com for the archive as well. Today, we want to talk about what goes into modern B2B marketing. So what's modern? What's traditional? I don't know. So we have the authors of this book on the show today. We will see how that looks here with three people. I guess we just did that earlier last week, but let's get them on the show, David and Cullion, to talk about their book, Modern B2B Marketing, and what is B2B, what is modern marketing? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Things evolve, so we need to stay with the times. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me. Hey, let's talk about your book. First of all, what prompted you to write the book? And then let's dive into what is modern marketing and what's not so modern.
All right. Well, great. Christoph, first of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. We're absolutely thrilled to be on your show. So, one of my motivations for writing the book was, I do a lot of mentoring of sort of early in career employees. And, as part of this mentoring process, I wanted to recommend a book, but I couldn't find one. There's books on SEO, there's books on influencer marketing, there's books on content marketing, you name it. There was really nothing that ties any of these things together. So that was one of my motivations. And I believe, Callie, and you work with a lot of startups. You tell us maybe some experiences on that side of it.
Yeah, David, I will completely concur with what you just said. I've been in marketing for about 25 years. I've gone through an MBA program. I have learned the theory of marketing for sure. But in the 25 years that I've been in marketing, I have not yet come across a practical book that cleanly delineates what B2B marketing, and in particular technology marketing, is all about. And in some sense, consider this a paid forward book. David and I have talked about this in the past. For anybody who is starting out in their career, who is doing PR, product marketing, demand gen, customer marketing, you name it, especially in a technology company, which just about every company is today. This is a book that will at least give you the lay of the land and will help you understand how to understand your organization and also how to move marketing forward in your company.
What I liked about some of the things I heard there is tying things together. And I see that way too often. We have people talking about, we are a sales-led organization. We are a insert the blank led organization, right? But nobody ever says we're an integrated led organization, whatever the word might be. But you know what I'm saying? And when I do even live streams and podcasting, it's so fascinating to me how many people think of all these different things as like one standalone thing. In my opinion, to this day is, and I wrote the book on that topic, going live, getting more out of your podcast. You do a live stream, send it to the people that are already connected to you for the last decade or whatever. Publish a podcast, right? I mean, why would that not be the first step? And then write an article, right? I mean, it's like duh. And then turn that into social posts, and then use that as sales collateral, and then use that as a nurture campaign. I mean, it never ends, right? But I still see, tell me if I'm wrong, but I see so many companies, they're only focusing on one thing. They're only focusing on the quarter that ends tomorrow, forgetting about the 2 quarters down the road. I mean, am I just dreaming things up here, or what do you think?
No, Christoph, I think that's a pretty astute observation. A lot of the companies we work for, in the B2B space, it's all about generating leads, and that's fine. We need to generate leads and drive demand, but they miss the thought leadership and brand awareness piece. They miss the sales enablement. If our salespeople can't prosecute the leads or understand how to convince the prospects that they need our product, and they need it now, then you're wasting all of your marketing effort. And then lastly, customer success is so important. So that's another motivation behind this. But you're right, a lot of companies focus on one thing. Callian, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I 100% agreed with you. The often quoted Gartner statement is that there are about anywhere from 6 to 10 decision makers in a buying process, and they usually get anywhere from 4 to 5 pieces of information from the company. Either they get it themselves, or they solicit it from the companies. And so now, right, you got many people who have lots of data that they have to reconcile, and maybe at times even deconflict within that group, so that they can take a B2B transaction through, right? So it starts with awareness and thought leadership, exactly as David mentioned. You have to go through a demand gen process where you get engaged, you get nurtured by the company. You got sales enablement, where your sales team is now actively engaging with your prospects. And then finally, there is customer success, adoption, upsell, you name it, right? So most companies, are very maniacally focused on that DG function today. It's all about pipeline. It's all about closing, but you got to think about the holistic picture, and that's what we wanted to press forth and also explain well in this book.
And hopefully what companies think about as well is don't just hound people. I mean, yes, stay in touch, but just like the constant hammer of emails coming my way. I'm not making this up. There was a company one time, and I totally needed their services. And I literally went with a competitor because the competitor wasn't as annoying. Do you know what I mean? Like, how bad is it going to be? But if you just I'm obviously evaluating your product. I don't need to be asked every day if I'm ready to buy, right? I'm literally looking into it right now. And that's, of course, more at the bottom of the funnel. Let's focus on maybe top of the funnel a little bit for a second here. And my perspective is that I think a lot of B2B companies, and there's some people out there who do it really well, but I think there's a lot of growth potential for B2B companies, and maybe any company, to have better thought leadership. What do you think about that? How can companies improve their thought leadership, and how does that actually help with their pipeline?
Yeah, Christoph, actually, thought leadership is really a passion of mine, and I think a lot of companies, when they look for thought leaders, they mix up thought leadership and evangelism. And really, the big difference is evangelism is all about your products. How do the products work? It's a pretty focused on the offering from the company. But thought leadership, people engage with your company and with your brand because they want to learn something. To your point, Christoph, they don't want to be annoyed. So I love thought leadership, and you have to have a unique perspective on the market and what's going on. And it's not about pushing the product; it's about educating the audience and having a unique point of view in the world. Callian, thoughts?
Yeah, David, I go back to what my 82-year-old mom has always said: you need to give to get, right? And thought leadership, in all forms, is what you are giving back to the market, right? And it needs to be something that is of value to the prospect who is getting this information. And David, you and I have done many thought leadership exercises in the past. You can lead thought leader. You can create thought leadership with a unique point of view to educate the market. In terms of where certain technologies, processes, methodologies are going. You can definitely bring a data-driven thought leadership to the market too, where you can bring some data, surveys, you name it, that'll help your prospect get more educated about the market and the approaches to solving problems in the market. So there are multiple ways of approaching thought leadership for sure. And I think, David, you and I have strongly believe that this is the way to open the door at a prospect. Sending 17 SDR emails, which happens to be, I think, par for the course for many companies today, doesn't do much. And the outcome may be not very different from what, Christoph, you just described.
Yeah, and actually, I'll just add, one thing that I think companies really need to rethink the entire approach. I mean, when is the last time you answered a phone call? We have a lot of people have, outbound sales, answered a phone call from a phone number you didn't recognize, or you actually click through on, the hundreds of marketing spam that everybody gets every day. So I think people really need to rethink how they're approaching this entire discipline.
What's interesting to me though is when I mean, I don't mind getting emails from companies, right? But I don't need them every 2 days, right? I mean, there was one person on the show one time, and I think it was a B2C brand, maybe it was a pizza brand, and she got an email from that pizza brand every single day to buy a pizza. Like, as much as we like pizza, who wants to eat pizza every single day? I mean, seriously, right? Like, it's overkill. The one thing I want to mention is we did have two other guests on the show the other day, but I kind of like this layout in Christoph's content corner. In case you're wondering what the background is, my friends, with 3 people, it's kind of nice. Maybe we should do that more often.
The cozy corner,
people.
love it.
Right? Yeah.
Christoph's content corner, not cozy, but that's debatable. But anyway, but let's talk about modern marketing, modern B2B marketing. How do companies get there? What do they need to do to actually get started? And how do you prove the success?
Yeah, I think I'm going to just start with a definition, how we think about it. I think there's several dimensions, but, I think modern B2B marketing is really, it's a systematic approach, a way to convince a committee of buyers, it could be 12 people, that they, number one, have an unmet need. 2, your solution can solve that in a unique way. And 3, they need to have it now. And, I think the elements that go into that, there's thought leadership and awareness, demand gen, sales enablement, competitive differentiation. You have to have a compelling software solution, obviously, and a trusted brand. So that's how I think about what modern B2B marketing is. Kellyanne, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, I completely agree with everything that you've said, David. But I do want to also highlight what Christoph brought up at the top of the program here, right? It is about integrated marketing, right? It's not random acts of marketing where, one day the PR team sends out, a PR, and then 2 days later the SDR touches them with a completely different message, and and everything in between. It is about making sure that all these pieces are integrated and thought in the context of a true buyer's journey, right? I mean, this is a phrase that you will hear multiple times throughout our book. The notion of a buyer journey that starts with a buyer being, pretty unaware of your product, but definitely having a problem, and then setting the stage so that they think about the problem in the way you want them to think about the problem, because that's how you are going to eventually sell your products or your widgets to them. And then building out the entire motion from that point on, right? Awareness, demand gen, sales enablement, customer success, and adoption.
I think the one thing I heard you guys talk about a few times now is integration. And I know integration, I mean, maybe if somebody has solved this problem, they are making millions and are retiring right about now. But how do we actually get there? So when I heard you talk about that, it's kind of like, I mean, you got people over here who pull whatever lever they have, right? And they just push their own agenda. And then you got people over here who do something else. And you got people over here who were hired to do something else. How do you actually integrate all these things? And I mean, I'm a big believer in having collaborative cultures, but at the end of the day, sometimes people just try to build their little fiefdom, right, and push around their weight or whatever it might be. So how do we actually get a company to be integrated? I mean, is it just about relationships? Is it about leadership? Is it about something else? How do companies do it?
I mean, I can start, and David, you can jump in, right? I mean, to me, like all things in B2B companies, right? It's a mix of people, process, and technology, right? And you mentioned the word leadership. I think leadership is extremely important if you really have to do integrated marketing. It starts all the way from the top. The CMO or the VP of marketing, as the case may be in the company, should understand all the cogs in the wheel, and they should try to bring all these things together. David and I are also obviously very, we are product marketeers by trade. So we have a soft bias to product marketing being the central cog that drives a lot of functions within marketing. So we believe that a strong product marketing team that understands all aspects of the market, the differentiation, the approaches, and of course the unique USP value proposition that your own widget brings is also critical in making sure that this integration happens. There are processes, there are technologies. We have used tools like Asana and things like that in our previous companies that actually help you bring a lot of these methodologies together. Those all help, but I would strongly say that it starts all the way from the top, right? So if you don't understand the various pieces of the marketing puzzle, and if you don't believe in bringing them together for any and all motions within marketing, this is not going to work well. I will say one other thing. Let's not just think of this as integration within marketing alone. Let's also think of it as integration within the go-to-market teams, right? So that goes beyond marketing. That includes our sales, brothers and sisters who are out there, pitching and selling the product every day. It also includes the customer success team that is working with us to make sure that whatever we have sold, we do deliver it to the expectation of the customer.
Yeah, Kelly, I'd like to add, just a couple things. I think number one, companies, they need to have really a customer obsessed strategy. They need to, I think that's needs to be the core of it. The second thing is, I've worked primarily for data and analytics companies, and with all the different channels and interaction points with your customers and prospects, it's still the Wild West out there. We can't integrate Marketo with Google Analytics, with your community, with whatever systems, with HubSpot or whatever systems you're using in there. I think having a big focus on making sure you get that data and analytics infrastructure right, and making sure that people are data literate within the organization is a huge thing that many companies, they just don't invest in. I don't know why. I think to Christoph's point earlier, they have these fiefdoms, and the people that are running Marketo or whatever automation system, they're focused on that, and the web people are focused on Google Analytics and whatever, and there's nothing really that stitches that together, and you're missing a lot of signals if you don't integrate that stuff properly.
Yeah, interesting. I was just looking over here on Amazon. We are live streaming on Amazon today, my friends. So if you are watching this on TV or anywhere else, make sure to search for Christoph Trapp on Amazon, and you will find my store. Somebody's calling me. Call is declined while I'm live on air. Shout out to Christina Anici. B2B is huge, no doubt. I agree with that. Christina, by the way, has a fantastic channel on Amazon. Talks about all kinds of different things you want around the house, weightlifting, all those kind of different things. So check her out, Christina Anici. And I have no idea if that's how you say it. Nicci on Amazon. So maybe for the last few minutes here of the show, let's talk about how do you do this in different size companies? So for example, right, we have some of these B2B companies and they're starting out. They might not even have marketing, right? I mean, they're just like, it's an afterthought or whatever. So how do you do it in that kind of company that's just rolling out their first marketing team or function or whatever you want to call it? And how does that change the bigger you get?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about smaller companies since I have a lot of experience working with earlier stage companies. And I this is a question, Christoph, that I get often from CEOs. I want to build out my first marketing team. Who do I hire? What's the skill set of the person that I hire for this, first in this company? And I always, I have a personal bias, but I believe over time I've seen this to be true. Hire your first product marketing person. What you need at that early stage of a company is someone who can understand the market, understand the competitors in the market, understand the alternate ways of doing things in the market, and put together a message which uniquely explains what you are bringing to the market, and the problem sets and the solutions that you're trying to address. That usually, ought to be the first hire. The second hire I generally recommend to teams is a demand gen person, because that, I think, starts to get the demand gen flywheel going. The demand gen team and this demand gen person also helps you test out your messages in the market itself, so that you're not just confined to the four walls of the company and coming up with a message that may sound great internally, may give everybody happy ears, but may not stand the first test when you go out to the market. So start with product marketing, hire the demand gen, and then everything else can follow. David, would you have any more elaboration on bigger companies and how to make this work in
Yeah, I think what tends to happen, what I've seen is, as the company gets bigger, you start to develop specialized functions. So, you have a larger demand gen team, you have maybe a whole content team, and you have a whole sales enablement team. And what I think happens is, people start to lose sight of that integrated approach, because there's competing interests. Everybody's trying to do the right thing, but everything is not always aligned. And so as the company grows, I think leadership becomes even more important. So you don't, develop these islands of people that, may not be swimming in the same direction.
I haven't argued with you guys too much, but the one argument I would make is, if you are serious about thought leadership, maybe that shouldn't be your first hire, but certainly you need to figure out a way on how to do that appropriately, because here's the reality. It is important to get started with your content. You will never rank if you don't get started and keep going. It takes a while, right? And you got to be strategic about it. So even if you don't hire a content person to do your thought leadership, full time, you got to hire somebody, in my humble opinion. But of course, that's the kind of content I create, love to create, and push people down the funnel. I know time always flies when you have fun. I really appreciate you guys coming on the show. To wrap it up here, tell me about, who should reach out to you? Do you guys take clients? Who do you work with? That kind of thing. And really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it, Christoph. Yeah, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. Available. We are certainly open to work in different projects. We have 50 plus years of experience across 12 different companies. That means we're a little bit old, but that's okay. Give us a call.
Yeah, absolutely. We work from anywhere from small, I would say, 10-person company to 1,000-person company. We have brought about substantial changes in many of these organizations and have real world experience to prove. Right, this is not three guys from an MBA school, right, or two guys from an MBA school, I should say, writing a book. What you see out here are real world experiences, and we can definitely bring that to bear to any and all companies out there.
Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review the Business Storytelling Show on your favorite podcast platform, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.